Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green with Bright Tree Financial Group here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. How's everybody doing today? Doing pretty good. It's early here in Hawaii. I got my McDonald's coffee on the way in. I used to be a big raving fan of Starbucks coffee, but you know what? They shut down on me. And, you have to go to the drive-through Starbucks, and, that line is very, very long. And so I have a McDonald's by my house, which I hardly ever go to, not even for coffee. But since things shut down, they were reliable. They're there. They're open. You can walk in, get what you want, and then take it out, of course, or you can go through their drive-through, which is practically empty in the morning. So I stopped by and grabbed a cup of coffee on my way to work. And, things have been really interesting lately. I had something happen to me recently that was, I've kind of been thinking about it. And but just wasn't sure when it was going to happen to me. But my assistant retired after being with me for quite a while, and wish her a farewell. Happy trials to Leanne and her family. But it was time. And one of the things I talked about in one of my earlier shows was about helping family, taking care of family, aging parents, and things of that nature. And so she had her in-laws on the one side that she has to care for, and then she has her parents on the other side that she has to care for. And so we realized that was going to be a reality someday. So thankfully, we have a plan in place for her and her family, and in order to help them transition. And it was really, really exciting. But for now, I don't have an assistant, and so I'm solo here in the office and taking care of all my clients with various different ways, technology and different things of that nature. And so I'm excited for this next chapter of my life to kind of figure out what I really want to focus on and the direction that I want to take the company. So if you're a current client and you're out there and you're listening, thank you for all these years of sticking with me and my teams and the different people that I've had on staff. And you guys know how tough it is to bring people on board and to train people. And so again, thank you. And to all my new listeners, welcome, aloha. Thank you for tuning in to the show. And I want to get into today's show. And the title of today's show is Wealth Haters, and basically how to avoid those that hate wealth, or things that hate wealth. And this is a little bit of a sticky subject right now, especially we're still in coronavirus, in the dealing with the COVID-19, and a lot of people have lost their jobs in different industries and things like that. I know the tourism industry here in Hawaii has been hit really hard. Our unemployment rate is a staggering 33%. They just didn't realize, or I'm sure they knew if something like this would have happened, what the situation would look like, especially if we're very heavy tourism related here in Hawaii. But the other 2/3 of the people, it could be government workers, city, county, state, private enterprise. But the sad truth is we don't have enough private enterprise here in Hawaii. But there are people that are still doing phenomenally well, people that are able to work from home, people that are still making a lot of money, and they're saving a lot of money during this time. And so I'm sure there's quite a bit of animosity going on out there for those who don't have, when they look at their situation and they say, I don't have, and those guys have. And so, they should help me more. And I do understand that, because for a long time, I didn't have financial stability. I didn't have that kind of mindset in regards to, why people have and why people have not. And so I'm going to kind of set the stage for your mindset and see where you are. And then, let you know that there is a way that I can help you get out of that mindset, because I've done it for myself and I've done it for so many others. And it's through my program called Rapid Retire. And it's going to help you retire 7 to 10 years sooner than you normally would. Results of the program, they do vary by user, but I'm proof. I'm sitting here talking to you. Not only have I used it for myself, I built it out so that other people can take advantage of it as well. And if you go to my website, retirenowretirewow.com, and basically go to the Rapid Retire section of the website, download the brochure, take a look at it, and give me a call, 521-4401, 808-521-4401, or just email me, harold.green@brightfg.com, or just contact me through the website, because I want to talk to you. And I want you to listen carefully to the things that I'm going to say in today's show, because there are a lot of different reasons that people hate wealth and the different mindsets they have around it that keeps them from being successful themselves. And let's get into it. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. Here's what I found, and here's what I've seen in all my years of life. And I'm telling you guys straight up, I'm going to be 47 this year. And, I've seen a lot of things in my 47 or 46 years, almost 47 years of life. And one of the things I see with people is they hate the wealthy because they assume that wealthy people got their money by some kind of unjust means. I read that in Proverbs a lot, unjust means. And sometimes, perception can become reality where people are looking at this and they're just assuming, because I can't figure out how in the world to get that kind of money. It just makes my brain hurt. I can't figure out how to do it. So maybe those guys got it because they were doing something wrong. Maybe they're selling drugs. I seen drug dealers when I was growing up. They had nice cars and different things like that. And so they were kind of, if you were growing up in a poor neighborhood, you idolized the drug dealers because they had money. They had lots of it, right? They had the cars, they had the money, they had the girls, they had, it seems like they had everything, right? And so, but that kind of sets the wrong mindset for a lot of kids, because they don't have the proper type of role models to look up to, and they don't have wealth in their own homes. And so therefore they see it on TV and it's just foreign, right? And so a lot of people do struggle and through life with just that type of mindset. And it's just that some other reasons why is because they hate the wealthy because they assume that they didn't work for it. They didn't have to work hard to get the money that they have. Maybe it was passed down to them. And, and they envy that. You hear about these people on TV. I'm not going to get into any names, but, they inherited millions and sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. And because they were just born into that. And so you see a lot of the sensationalism on TV, and people hate the wealthy that they see on TV like that because, they feel like they're flaunting it in their face. Here you are, and hopefully this is not your situation, but I've been here trying to pay your bills. You turn on the TV and you're watching the lifestyles of the rich and famous, and you're like, wow, wow, wow. But see, I'm going to tell you a secret. When you're looking at people who have wealth, you can either look at it with one or two ways. Number one, you can look at that and say, wow, okay, I'd love to be successful like that one day. Or you can look at that and say, wow, that'll never be me. And, screw them for having it and throwing it in my face by putting it out there on TV and their yachts and all of that different types of stuff. When you look at wealth with a positive mindset, you're looking at it from a growth mindset perspective versus the opposite way. So, I want to talk about what wealth or having wealth means to you. So for myself, I wasn't always good with money, to be honest with you guys. I had the talent inside, but without the proper education, just having the talent for something is totally useless. It's like having the innate talent like Michael Jordan had inside, the drive inside, but without the practice and without the structure, none of that stuff ever came out. It's like anything. So later on, I'm going to be doing a show about the purpose of education and then how it can really help you unlock your mindset. But because I hadn't yet educated myself in the area of finances, I really suffered for lack of knowledge. I've made so many dumb and stupid mistakes, and I think I've told you guys some of that stuff. But it all stemmed from my mindset growing up as a kid. And I'll tell you guys a lot about this, or some inside secrets about my life. Growing up, I knew it wasn't wrong to be rich. And here's why. As a young person, I only saw people having negative mindsets or negative attitudes and perceptions because of the rich. I grew up in the South, and there were some beautiful lakes, and people would move from all over to come to Florida just to buy a piece of property by the lakes because it was secluded. There was really nobody out there. And if you had $100,000, $200,000 at that time, you could buy a really nice, super nice lake home with a boat. And so the only thing I heard was, here come these rich people down here buying up all of our stuff and so on and so forth. And, and it was, they made it sound like it was wrong. And truth be told, if I lived in a place I could, drive down and buy a lake home, and I would do that too if I had the resources, right? You guys know that there's most of there's nothing wrong with being successful. And then, if you can afford different things, why not enjoy the things of life? God talks about He's given us all things to richly enjoy, not to look at and say, we should or should not have it. But those are the attitudes that I saw growing up. And so as a kid, I would always take the counter position on things. If my family said we're going to be Democrat, I would be like, nope, I'm going to be Republican. Nope, we're poor, and I'd be like, nope, I'm going to be rich. Like, nope, okay, so we're all not smart, and I was like, nope, but I always kind of took the opposite position, just out of, I don't know, as a kid, you get rebellious, right? So for me, I would get rebellious about those things, not, alcohol or drugs. I never did any of that when I was a kid, but I would always take the opposite side. So when I was a young kid, I would say, I would ask myself, because we didn't have a lot at that time, I would say, which one is better, being rich or being poor? For me, it was pretty easy, because being poor meant not having enough, and then seeing all the negative things and all the negative things happen to me, negative things happening around me because of it. And I assumed that being rich was the exact opposite. Now, when I say being rich, I don't mean rich, like, billion, $2, $3 billion rich. I mean, having enough to last me for the rest of my entire life. That's becoming independently wealthy, where you have enough to last you, your family, your entire life. And then there's one level above that, when you not only have enough to last you your entire life, but then you get into charitable deeds where you can stop actually working for money, get to the point where you no longer have to work for money. And now you're working to distribute the wealth that you've built up. And that is a phenomenal position that I am really working hard to get to. And that's to be able to distribute whatever God has blessed me to be able to obtain for the good of mankind. That's a very important, noble thing, not to continue amassing, and buying vain and foolish things that don't benefit anybody. And I can understand why people feel a certain kind of way. And so when I was a kid, I worked from a very young age. And as soon as I got my first car, after school, I would work. During the summer, I would work. And then on my way to my workplace, I worked on the beach in Panama City Beach, the home of spring break or whatnot. And, Panama City it was a really nice place before Hurricane Michael came through and did a lot of damage. So on my way to work or after work, I would drive through a place called the Cove. It was on Cove Boulevard down there, where they had really nice homes. And as a 17-year-old kid, I would just drive through the neighborhood. I wasn't blasting my music or anything like that, because I knew as a black kid, you start driving through people's neighborhoods blasting music, man, you're going to get pulled over, and they're going to ask you, what are you doing here? Where are you from? And on and on and on. So I would stealthily just drive through the neighborhood, looking at the nice homes, looking at the boats and things of that nature. And I was really impressed by that, because I didn't have a lot growing up. And still at the time, I didn't have a lot. So for me, that was therapeutic, and that I could see that it was attainable. But at the time, I just didn't know how to do that. But sorry for the trip down memory lane, but it leads me back to your challenge of having more than you think you'll ever need. And I really want to challenge you to take that position, because trying to figure out and working hard to get more than you'll ever need is way better than settling. And here's the problem: when you settle, things change. Okay. And when things do change, you can become unsettled. And right now, we are going through a situation where a lot of people and a lot of families are becoming unsettled. They had gotten comfortable with a way of life. And then all of a sudden, this just kind of it's throwing all of us for a loop. And we're going to have to find a new normal, or a new situation. So change is inevitable, and we're always going to have to change. But I want to talk to you about your challenge of having more than you'll ever need. So I want to talk about your mindset. Okay. And I'm going to ask you a few questions about your mindset, and we're going to take it from there. Number one, do you think being rich is wrong? And if you think being rich is wrong, I want you to tell me how so. I've seen this where some people think I am poor because they are rich, and they took it from me. They took it from me. I've seen that mindset a lot. And no one really can take anything from you, but you have the ability and the power to give it to them. Okay. Number two, do you think it is impossible for you to ever get to a position of having more than you'll ever need? I used to think so. All right. So this leads me back to your challenge of having more than you'll ever need. I want to talk about your mindset. Okay. And in doing that, I'm going to ask you three questions about that mindset. Number one, do you think that being rich is wrong? And if you think being rich is wrong, I want you to tell me how so. Okay. You can pick up the phone and call me, 808-521-4401. And let's have a real decent conversation about this because it's important. And I've seen the mindset of some people thinking that I'm poor because they are rich. They took it from me. And here's one thing in life, no one can take anything from you. It's all about what you give up. All right. So you have the power to get wealth, right? You have the power to make resources and to become independently wealthy. No one can really take that away from you. If you're spending your money foolishly on things that rich people created, yeah, you can do that. Some would say, there's enough wealth in the world that if you distributed it all, broke it all up, chopped it up and gave it to every person, they would get about $10 million each. But the truth is within 90 days or whatever it was, most of the wealth would be back into the hands of the rich because of just because of consumption, right? America is the land of consumption. We consume more and more and more every single year. And so I'm just going to leave that at that. Question number two, do you think it is impossible for you to ever get to a position of having more than you'll ever need? I used to think so. And here's the truth. My choices kept me in the position that I was in. It wasn't anyone taking anything from me. When I bought that $600 stereo system when, I had bills to pay, and I did this when I was in my early 20s because I love sound systems and things like that. I spent money that I didn't have, right? I was always playing catch up. I was always burning up my credit cards and doing dumb stuff because I was only thinking about today and not tomorrow. Whereas my counterparts, on the other hand, they were talking about investing in stocks and different things like that. And at the time, again, I didn't have the education and I didn't have the mindset for the most part to understand that. So again, it was my choices that were keeping me broke. All right. Number three, do you think it's wrong to have more than you'll ever need? More than enough. More than enough. And when I started learning about wealth and recharting my trajectory to the position that I'm in now, I would go jogging in the morning, early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I would wake up, and I would study my Bible a little bit and drink some coffee. And then I'd get out and I'd go jogging. And I was in a lot of debt. And so I would have like this cadence that I would say to myself over and over again. It would go something like, speed it up, needs met, bills paid, I'm out of debt. Speed it up, needs met, bills paid, I'm out of debt. I was in the military, and so, we did a lot of cadence stuff. And so it was always good when you ran to a cadence or something like that. So I was kind of programming that in my mind. Speed it up, needs met, bills paid, I'm out of debt, and on and on and on and on. So one day, I'll be honest with you guys, it became true in my life, right? And so the thing about these questions, right? There's two reasons for thinking this way about being wealthy. Number one, you really don't understand the purpose for wealth, and then number two, you just haven't been able to break through. You've been trying and trying and trying and working and working and working, but you haven't been able to break through. And you know what? I've been there and I can help you guys out. And here's the first thing we need to do. We got to figure out whether or not you have the potential for it. Honestly, some people, are trying their best and they're still not getting where they need to be. And for some people, getting to a position where they will have way more than they'll ever need, for some people, it's just not going to happen because they can't change the way they think. And so I want to talk to you and figure out, do you have the potential to change the way that you think? Do you have extenuating circumstances that are forcing you to think one particular way or the other? Do you have friends that you're hanging around that think negatively about wealth? Do you have family that you're with all the time that think negatively about wealth? Do you have people that are constantly consuming your resources because they're too lazy themselves to get out of the situation that they're in? And so we got to figure out where you are. Number two, we got to figure out where the holes or the pitfalls are in your financial plan. Some people, they have a plan, but the plan is not, it's not the right plan. They're in some sort of strategy, but it's not the right strategy for them. Maybe we have to put together a combination of different strategies for you. And then number three, we have to come up with some easy steps for you that if you follow them for a year to year and a half, it's going to change your life forever. And so I implemented some very easy steps, some simple things that, I could do on a daily, weekly basis. My wife, she got involved with me as well. And we just began to implement some simple strategies that led to the more complicated and complex strategies of finance, right? You're never going to master the advance until you master the basics. You've got to master the basics. It's called the fundamentals, right? A lot of people are trying to implement different strategies, and the reason why they're not working is because their fundamentals are bad. And I want to talk to you about that. And the last thing that I want to do is I want to coach you to help you avoid those that they hate wealth and don't want you having it because they just can't figure it out themselves. I want to coach you to help you make the right decisions in your finances. And I want to team up with you to help you to get from where you are now to where you really want to be. All right. So with that being said, check out my website, retirenowretirewild.com. Download the Rapid Retire brochure, download the Game Changer form, complete it, send it in to me, or just simply get on the phone, 808-521-4401, and let's get this started. All right. Let's figure out how to get you from where you are today to where you really want to be. And until the next time I share with you guys, go out there and 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.